الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وإيمانا وفقها في الدين اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وتجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. Alright, so today being the first lesson on 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi. So this will be a commentary on that 40 hadith, and then as we agreed, you have to memorize everything, at least memorize a hadith that we'll be discussing. Like today's lesson will be on what? On the first lesson, the first hadith of what? Of that book. So I don't like us to prolong on the biographies and all that and the introduction. So what we will do is we will just give a brief introduction to the book, then we move on with the first hadith, right? So okay, and then the methodology will be, the method will be, we will, before we start commenting on the hadith, we will read the hadith completely. Then we also discuss briefly about the narrator, about the companion, the Sahabi who narrated that hadith. Okay, before we start with the matter of the hadith. So this hadith, this book, it's known as Arba'un. Okay, Arba'un by Imam al-Nawawi. And then in the introduction, Imam al-Nawawi mentioned that he is not the first to compile 40 hadith, right? So he has acknowledged that there were scholars before him who compiled 40 hadiths. But his 40 hadiths is the most famous and the most recognized among the 40 hadiths that was compiled. So among the scholars who compiled these 40 hadiths were Abdullah ibn Mubarak. Abdullah ibn Mubarak, we mentioned about him in our first lesson on Matn al-Ashmawiyya. He died in the year 181. Abdullah ibn Mubarak, a great scholar of fiqh and hadith, Zahid. Alright, so, and also Imam ad-Darqutni, Imam Abu al-Hasan ad-Darqutni, he also has 40 hadith. He also compiled these 40 hadith, and this is one of the great scholars of Islam and also scholar of hadith. He died in the year 385. Okay, and then also aside that too, there's Imam al-Bayhaqi, who also compiled this hadith. So Imam al-Nawawi mentioned that they all compiled this hadith because of a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. There's a saying of the Prophet that goes, the Prophet said, Man hafidha li ummati 40 hadithan min amri diniha bu'itha yawm al-qiyamati 'aliman faqihan. That's a narration, and then another narration says that bu'itha yawm al-qiyamati shahida. Right? So he said that whoever compiled or whoever preserved 40 hadith, about the religion or any topic about the religion, Allah will resurrect him, the person or the scholar, on the day of Qiyamah as a scholar and also as a jurist. And then in another narration, he said Allah will resurrect the person as a martyr, right? So the person will have a reward of what? Of a martyr. So these scholars, they use this hadith hoping that they will gain the reward of what? The status of martyrdom. Alright, even though they are scholars, they are jurists, and then also muhaddithin, but still hope that they will be. Maybe we see them to be scholars, but they see themselves not to be as scholars, and they wish Allah will resurrect them on the day of Qiyamah as scholars and as fuqaha. Alright, and also in another narration is also as martyrs, right? As martyrs. So they will gain the status of martyrdom. So, but this hadith is a weak hadith. Alright, so if I say a weak hadith, it doesn't mean that it's a fabricated hadith. So it's a weak hadith. We don't use it in ahkam, in ruling of halal and haram. But this is an ethical issue, right? To preserve a hadith, right? To preserve a hadith, something meritorious, right? Something that has great reward for those who are capable to do it. Okay, so such hadith can be used here, right? So it's not a problem. But Imam Nawawi said he did not compile this hadith. Why? He did not compile this hadith because of it. He did not compile these 40 hadiths or this book because of what this hadith, right? He said that he did not do that. He did that because of a hadith, another hadith of the Prophet that says, نَضَّرَ اللَّهُ امْرَأً سَمِعَ مِنِّي مَقَالَةً فَأَدَّاهَا كَمَا سَمِعَهَا. Right? He said that there's a saying of the Prophet, but this hadith is authentic. Right? May Allah make the face of a person who had hadith from me and then conveyed or propagate it as he had it. Right? So this is what this hadith is, a very authentic hadith. So Imam Nawawi said he compiled his 40 hadith because of this hadith and not because of what the previous hadith, which is a weak hadith. Right? But all they say, they all aim forward for the same reward. So, and they also said that those who compiled 40 hadith before him, some of them focus on a specific topic. Some compiled 40 hadith on salah, and some also on jihad, and others too on specific topic. But for him, he wanted to compile the 40 hadith on almost every topic about Islam. So when you look at the 40 hadiths, we have ethical hadith in it, we have legal hadith, we also have creedal hadith in the book. And then he also advised that whoever wants to aim to succeed on the day of Qiyamah should take the book serious, right? Because the 40 hadiths, it entails a lot. Whoever is able to memorize and understand and put into practice, the person, inshallah, will be among the successful ones. So now, let's look at, let's start with the first hadith, right? So, who has memorized the first hadith? Would you like to read? Okay. All right.
عن أمير المؤمنين أبي حفص عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه قال: سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول: إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى، فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله، ومن كانت هجرته للدنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. It was narrated on the authority of Amir al-Mu'minin.
All right, so you would like to give us the number of the page? All right, so he said, and Amir al-Mu'minin Abi Hafs, Umar ibn al-Khattab, right? So Amir al-Mu'minin Abi Hafs, Amir al-Mu'minin meaning the leader of the believers. Okay. So what is this? What does this mean? This is known as what? As lakab, as a title, right? And also, so this title, some normally among the Arabs, they give title based on a person's occupation or maybe something that the person is known for, right? So, but here he was given this title. Why? Because he's the leader of the believers, right? Because he's the leader of the believers. So, and then he's the second person to be given this title. The second person to be given this title. The first to be given this title was Abdullah ibn Jahash, right? And then Umar ibn Khattab was the second person to be given this title. So that's his title is Lakab. And then there's also another Lakab of Umar, that is Al-Faruq. So we will come to it, Al-Faruq. So he said, an Amir al-Mu'minin, Abi Hafs. So Abi Hafs, this is his kunya, right? Kunya mostly start with Abu and right? So most of the Sahabas, they have their kunya, right? That the Prophet ﷺ is known as Abu Qasim, right? Abu Qasim. And also Aisha radiallahu anha, her kunya is Abdullah, right? So Umar, his kunya is Abu Hafs, right? So Abu Hafs, Hafs means Asad, a lion. So a father of a lion, right? But it doesn't mean a father of a lion. It means what, the brave one, right? Because Umar radiallahu anhu was a brave and a noble person, right? So it's the Prophet who gave him this title, this kunya, Abu Hafs, right? And then he has another title, that is Al-Faruq, right? Al-Faruq meaning the criterion, the one who distinguishes between right and wrong. Okay, so now why was he given this title? We'll come to it when we start discussing about when he embraced Islam and how he embraced Islam. So, and then his name is Umar, and then his father's name is Al-Khattab, right? His grandfather, An-Nufayl, and then like that. So here he mentioned what he mentioned, his lakab, and also his kunya, and then his what? His name. So now who is Umar? Who is Umar? What do you know about Umar? What do you know about Umar?
He was a brave warrior.
Okay.
He was when he entered. He was the person who entered Islam and brought out Islam. I mean, like he brought out the worship and ibadah of Islam outside.
He was also part of the caliph.
Okay. So
he was the one who brought Laylatul Qadr Jamal, like at first people used to do on the one who.
Okay. So who is Umar bin Khattab? That, as we mentioned, the name Abu Hafs, Umar bin Khattab Al-Faruq. Umar was born 13 years after the event of the elephant, that's Amal-Fil. He was born 13 years after that, right? So meaning he was born 13 years after the birth of the Prophet. Do you get it? Because the Prophet was born in that year, right? In the year Amal-Fil. So he was born 13 years before that, and then he lived in Mecca throughout his life, and he was one of the noble people, noble members of Quraysh, and then he was among the few who could read and write. Umar was really eloquent, very brave, a noble person, and he served as the ambassador of Quraysh, right, before Islam. So ambassador at that time is a person who, let's say there's a negotiation about war, about trade, anything that has to do with Quraysh, he represent Quraysh. Okay, if there's a war, he will go and then negotiate, right? And then if there's trade, he will also go and negotiate, and whatever they are going to do is Umar who represent them. And then if they need someone to defend, to give a speech on behalf of Quraysh, it's Umar who does that, right? If, let's say, a poet says something bad about Quraysh, it's Umar who respond to that, right? So he served as the ambassador before Islam. So he know a lot, and then he's not just a common person. He was one of the respected people among Quraysh. And then Umar embraced Islam in the 6th year after the propagation, after the mission of the Prophet ﷺ. So, and then he was the 40th person to embrace Islam. Meaning before him there were 39 people who embraced Islam, right? There were 39 people who embraced Islam, and at that time, even though the propagation of the Prophet, the secret propagation of the Prophet lasted for 3 years, then he brought it open. But even with that openness, they were still hiding to perform certain rituals, certain acts of worship, right? So they can't recite the Quran openly, they can't also pray openly, they can't circumambulate around the Kaaba, right? They used to do that in secret and at night. But immediately Umar ibn Khattab embraced Islam, they began praying openly, they began circumambulating the Kaaba openly, they recited the Quran openly. Why? Because of Umar, right? And then, as we said, Umar was brave and he was one of the noble people among Quraysh. So they feared that if they torture or harm the Prophet and his companions, Umar would stand for them. And then Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he was also the 30th companion to embrace Islam. So he embraced Islam before Umar. So he said that we became noble, we became respected people in Mecca when Umar embraced Islam, right? So they were humiliated, disrespected, and tortured before Umar embraced Islam. So after Umar embraced Islam, what happened? They brought Islam open, they prayed openly, they recited Quran openly and all that. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ gave him that title, Al-Faruq, right? Al-Faruq, the one who distinguishes between truth and then falsehood, right? Between right and also wrong, right? So that's Umar ibn Khattab. So Umar, when immediately embraced Islam, the Prophet ﷺ gave him the glad tidings of Jannah, and he told him that Allah has placed truth, the truth in your heart and then on your tongue, right? So meaning, all that you say is what? It's nothing but the truth, and what you believe in is what? It's nothing but the truth, right? So he gave him that glad tidings, and then he respected him. He accorded him the same respect and the same honor he had before he embraced Islam. So this is a very good strategy. And then before he embraced Islam, the Prophet ﷺ prayed to Allah, oh Allah, ya Allah, Allahumma a'izz al-Islam bi ahabbi al-umarayn ilayk. Amr ibn Hisham aw Umar ibn Khattab. So he said that, oh Allah, make this religion noble through these two great men, right? Abu Jahl, ibn Hisham, and also Umar ibn Khattab. And then Allah chose for Allah guided Umar ibn Khattab. So meaning Allah loves Umar ibn Khattab over Abu Jahl. So the Prophet prayed. The next day he came and then embraced Islam. Umar ibn Khattab, he came and then embraced Islam. So Umar was accorded that respect and then all. So here we what we can take from this is that, I mean, at that stage, the Prophet needed someone to politically to protect the cause, to protect the propagation, right? Because they were weak, and then almost all the noble ones were not with them. Of course, some of the noble ones were with them, but politically they have no power, right? So Abu Jahl was powerful at that time, and then also Umar was also powerful, since he was the ambassador. So the Prophet prayed that at least one of these two men should embrace Islam, so that they can someone can protect them. And then that was what happened. So when Umar embraced Islam, they were tortured before that and all that, and then it all stopped because of Umar. And they prayed openly, they recited Quran openly because of Umar. So he was giving glad tidings after he embraced Islam, and then the Prophet mentioned all that you had, that Allah has placed the truth on his tongue and also in his heart. So Umar was also the only one to migrate alone. Yes, he was the only one who migrated alone. All of the companions, they migrated at night, and then most of them were hiding. Alright? But Umar, he came and then prayed at the Haram, circumambulated, and then announced that he's migrating. Yes, he announced that he's migrating to Medina, right? So whoever wants to lose his life should follow him. Yes, right. So this brevity, right? So he did that openly. He's the only one who was able to do that, right? So this is to tell you that Umar is not just any common person, right? So he migrated to Medina, and then he participated in all the battle the Prophet ﷺ fought. But the Uhud, he participated in all the battle. And also, he gave many opinions that the Quran supported, and then verses was revealed, right, because of his opinion, right. So one of among these opinions were, once he proposed to the Prophet, that he suggested to the Prophet that they should use the place, the spot where Ibrahim ﷺ stood to raise the building of the Kaaba. They should take that place as well as a place of prayer after the tawaf, after the circumambulation. So, and then they were there, and then Allah revealed, وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلًّى, right? So since there, whoever circumambulate has to pray voluntarily at the Maqam Ibrahim, right? So he also suggested about the prohibition of alcohol, right? Severally he said, Allahumma bayyin lana fil khamri bayanan shafi'a, and Allah will reveal a verse, Allahumma bayyin lana fil khamri bayanan shafi'a, and Allah will reveal the verse until Allah revealed إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصار والأزلام رجس من عمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه, and then Allah prohibited consumption of alcohol completely, right? So that's how. And then he, in many instances, like after the Battle of Badr, which happened in the second year of Hijrah, the Prophet ﷺ consulted Umar and then Abu Bakr as what they should do with the captives, right? So, and then Umar suggested that they should always be killed, right? And then Abu Bakr said, no, we should take fidya from them, we should take something for them they should pay something to ransom themselves, right? But Allah revealed the verse to support the opinion of Umar, right? So in many instances, Allah revealed verses to support his opinion and suggestions, right? So this is to tell you that Allah has indeed placed truth, truth, and then also on his tongue, and then in his heart as well. And then Umar was the second caliph who took over the leadership of the Muslim after the death of Abu Bakr, right? So Abu Bakr died in the year 13, the 13th year of Hijrah. So since then, Umar took over till 24th Hijrah, till the 24th year of Hijrah. So Umar al-Khattab, and then he achieved a lot in his reign, right? They conquered many land, right? They conquered many land, which expanded the Islamic State, right? It expanded the territory of the Muslims, right? He conquered Persia, Iraq, Sham, and other places, right? And then also part of the things that he did was that he introduced the lunar calendar that we know today. Yeah. So do you know that the time of the Prophet and the time of Abu Bakr, there were no calendar, right? So how were they dating events? How were they dating them?
Maybe like the Yom Fil. Yeah, so maybe when something happened.
Yes, that's it. Even before the coming of the Prophet, that was what they were doing. That was how they used to date events, right? So when something huge or something mega happened, something very huge happened, like a disaster or something, then they would say what? A year after that disaster, 2 years after that. So there was something that they used to date before the event of what? The elephant, before the Amul Fil. So when the Amul Fil happened, it was what? One of the greatest events that happened also. So they stopped using the previous event, then they stick to the Amul Fil. So they will say what? The Prophet was born in the Amul Fil. This was born 2 years after what? Amul Fil. And then 3 years, as we said, Umar was also what? Born 13 years after what? After the Amul Fil. So that was how they used to date events. So when the Battle of Badr also happened, they also used that a year afterwards, after Badr. 2 years after what? After Badr. So that was the time of the Prophet. So they used to do that, right? But also in the time of Abu Bakr, it was also the same thing, right? But Umar, Abu Bakr, as you know, his reign did not last for so long, right? I mean, less than 2 years, right? And then Umar took over. So he introduced the lunar calendar, right? Do you want to ask something?
Yeah. So like the way now with the Gregorian calendar, we know the a year is 12 months. After 12 months, then it's year. 12 months makes a year.
Yeah.
So how did you know a year complete?
How did you know?
Like we say a year after Amul, or maybe 2 years after that, or 3 years after. How did you know that? Like what was?
Okay, yes.
What did you?
Yeah, even though they don't have they don't have anything they date with. Like with the Gregorian calendar, what do they use?
Months.
What are they using?
Months.
No. What are they using? They are using
The death
the
of-
birth of what? Of
Jesus.
Isa, Jesus,
Mm.
right? So with the Arabs, they don't have anything like that. There's nothing that they use for what? For their deity. But the months of the year is there.
It's
The
the-
year is there. That 12 months in a year is there. But as like a year, like they don't have nothing to date with, as we said, right? So Umar introduced what? The migration of the Prophet as what? As the starting point of what? The lunar calendar or the Islamic calendar, right? So now it started. That's why we see Umar took over. Abu Bakr, the Prophet died in the 11th year of what? Of Hijrah, right? So looking at when he migrated from Mecca to Medina. So that's where the Islamic calendar starts, right? So like that we say 13 years after the Prophet, or 12 years afterward, after the Hijrah, right? So but when Umar came, then he introduced that, he used that word as a starting, as a date, right? So he introduced the Islamic calendar, and then also Umar also we said that he suggested that the Maqam Ibrahim should be taken as a place of prayer, right? So in his reign, he moved it from where it was close to the Kaaba to he distanced it from the Kaaba, so that people those who circumambulate will do their tawaf and then go there and pray, right? So he did that, and also he expanded the mosque of the Prophet in his regime, and also the haram of Mecca. So he bought the houses around the Kaaba, and then he paid. Of course, he bought and then expanded the haram, right? So he really did a lot, and then he also suggested to Abu Bakr to compile the Quran, right? He played a pivotal role in that. He kept convincing Abu Bakr to compile the Quran because the Hufaz died in the Battle of Yamam, right? So he keep convincing Abu Bakr to compile until Abu Bakr was convinced. So initially Abu Bakr was like, why should I do something that the Prophet ﷺ did not do, right? So we will come back to this particular statement when we get to the hadith of foundation. So Umar radiallahu anhu died in the year 24. In the year 24, and was killed, right? So Abu Bakr, among the caliphs, he died a natural death. Umar was killed, Uthman was killed, and Ali was also killed. So they all died as martyrs, right? So that's when Umar died. So Umar said, سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما الأعمال بالنيات, right? He said he heard the Prophet ﷺ say, and he narrated this hadith when he was on the minbar, right? So he said, I heard the Prophet say, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Actions, a person's action is what is judged by his intention or by his motive, right? إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. A person's action is judged, is rewarded by his motive. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. And every person receives reward of what? Reward of his action according to the level of his sincerity. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. And every person receives the reward of his action according to what? To the level of what? His sincerity. So here, when your niyyah or your sincerity is what? Is higher, you get what? A great reward for what? For your action. Right? You get a great reward for your action. And he said, فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Whoever migrate for the sake of Allah and the sake of the Prophet, فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. He what? He will be rewarded by Allah and then will be pleased by the Prophet. فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. So he what? He migrated for the sake of Allah to gain Allah's pleasure. So Allah will reward him for that. Right? And then also he migrated to be with the Prophet. Right? So the Prophet will be pleased with him and then he will get what? A reward for that too. فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. And they also said, وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ لِدُنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا. And who also migrated because of something, because of a material thing that he might gain, فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى مَا هَاجَرَ. So here he said, if a person migrates because of a worldly gain, right, or because of a woman that he wants to marry, he will have nothing with Allah except for what he has migrated for, right? Except what he has migrated for, right? So he will not gain any reward from Allah, but even if he succeeds in getting what he has migrated for, that's fine. But reward with Allah, he will not have any reward with Allah. So this is the hadith. This hadith, the Prophet ﷺ made us understand that a person's act of worship will not be considered, will not be accepted and rewarded for, except with what? With a sincere, with intention, right? With intention. And also the level of our intention also what increases our reward, right? And then I gave example with hijrah, right? So this hijrah, story that statement that they say that there is a man who migrated because of a woman, right? To marry a woman, so he migrated from Mecca to Medina. So the Prophet mentioned that to draw people's attention, but this is not the case. Many scholars has refused this particular correlation between the hadith and then the story. So the story has happened, yes, it happened in the time of the Prophet, it happened, but it has nothing to do with what? With the hadith, right? So the Prophet ﷺ cited example with this, but the story is it's happened, it's a real story, it happened in the time of the Prophet. So now, let's look at certain things about, this hadith. So before we proceed, is there any question?
I wanted to ask whether the narration, the hadith, before it was narrated, like there's something happened, but you just answered that one.
Oh, okay. Any other question?
Also about the death of Umar.
Mm-hmm.
You said it's 26.
24.
25. Okay. That's after Hijrah.
Of course, not during that.
So please, the year again,
Yeah,
26.
24. He died the year 24 after the Hijrah. Alright?
And then you mentioned the names of the Imams who compiled the Mawlana Hadith before Imam al-Nawawi. You mentioned Abdullah Mubarak, and then Imam Bayhaqi, and the other one was
Imam al-Daraqutni. And then so, do you know there's Imam al-Nasa'i or Imam al-Nasawi, the author of Sunan al-Nasa'i. Do you know the book of Sunan al-Nasa'i, Sunan al-Kubra? Sunan al-Nasa'i.
Are they the same?
No, yeah, it's the same. It's known as Sunan al-Nasa'i,
Yes.
by Sunan al-Kubra. Right? The real name the author gave. So even this Sahih Bukhari, that this is not the real name Bukhari gave his book. Yeah, this is not the real name, but it's known for what? For as Sahih Bukhari. So this author, the author of Sunan al-Nasa'i, Imam al-Nasa'i or Imam al-Nasawi, he also has 40 hadith. Also. Yeah, he also has 40 hadith. Right.
So I'd want to ask to the compilation of hadith. Since there are hadiths, can anyone just compile the Quran? Which is my 40 hadiths.
Compile the Quran?
Yeah.
The 40 verses from the Quran?
Yeah, maybe 40, like different verses and combine them to
And
make
say
a 40 hadiths.
40 ayats. 40 verses.
Yeah.
This, no Imam has thought of it, and no Imam has done. So it will be something new, right? It will be something. Except, let's say you want to maybe select a verse. You know, let's say in our time you look at our society, and then we have a lot of problems. So let me select 40 verses from the Quran. That's speak about this, right? Then I'll comment on it, and as a book. There's no problem, right? But to invent a hadith, as we mentioned that, they did all this because of what? Because of the hadith that we mentioned. Do you remember? But there's no hadith. That says when you compile 40 verses from the Quran, you have ABC reward. You get it? So with that, you can do that. There's no problem. 40 verses. Yeah, it's fine. You comment on it, and then you publish it. It's good. But when you do that for the sake of Allah, you get the reward. Even if you do it hoping that Allah will resurrect you on the day of Qiyamah as a matter, as He will do to those who compile 40 hadiths. Yeah, Allah is generous. Yeah, but if only you are sincere, but in your work, it's possible. You can, right? But I just want you to understand that no Imam has thought of that. Right?
So please, the full name of Umar.
Umar? It's Umar bin Khattab bin Nufayl bin Ali. No, Al-Adawi. Umar bin Khattab. So he's Amir al-Mu'minin, Abu Hafs, Umar bin Khattab bin Nufayl al-Adawi.
And who is Hafs?
That's his kunya.
Hafs, we said it. Abu Hafs is his kunya. And then Hafs means Asad, a lion. And we said he was given this by the Prophet. And then it means that Umar was what? Was a brave man, right? Okay. Is that clear? Okay, so now let's look at intention. So this hadith speaks about what? About intention. So before we go there, before we move to that, this hadith is a very good hadith, very great hadith. It's considered a principle, a general principle in what? In Islam. Because there's no act of worship that you will do to hope for a reward except, and then will be accepted from you except with what? With intention. Right? So it's what? It goes under every chapter in what? In Islam. Right? So, and then Imam Abu Dawud is also one of the great scholars of hadith. He has a book called Sunan Abi Dawud. Right? So after he compiled the book, and the book consists of 4,800 hadith. 4,800 hadith. So he said, there are 4 ahadith in the book, in the Sunnah. Whoever memorizes it and practices it suffices the person. The person don't need the rest of the hadith in what? In the book. So, and then this hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, is on the top of the list. Is what? On top of the list. Right? So that's, the 4 hadiths are إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. And then the second one, مِنْ حُسْنِ إِسْلَامِ الْمَرْءِ تَرْكُهُ مَا لَا يَعْنِي. So this hadith is also what? In this 40 hadith. And then the third hadith is لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. It's also in this book. And then the last one, إن الحلال بين وإن الحرام بين وبينهما مشتبهات أو وبينهما أمور مشتبهات. So these are the 4 hadiths. Whoever memorizes this hadith, practice it, understand it and practice it, it's what? It suffices the person. You don't need this 4,800 hadith. It's a very profound statement, right? So this to tell you that it's what? It's a very important hadith. Okay. So now, let's look at what is intention. How do you make intention? Right? We all know intention, right? You know intention? Yeah, you know intention. But how do you make intention? How do you make intention? Who can tell me?
Just intend.
Yeah, you just intend.
So basically, intention is more like you making your mind, like you maybe, for instance, you're coming to do ablution, so you just have to be in that consciousness. Like, I'm coming to do this, but you are doing it for the sake of Allah.
Yeah. That, okay.
I think the moment you even start to like go in for ablution, that's when the intention is already there.
Okay. Okay.
Before just starting, just go.
Yeah, so let's say you are seated
Yes.
and you feel like, let me pray. And you know that you don't have ablution. So you're going to perform ablution. So that's the intention, right? Okay, the intention is that you have intention to perform ablution. This intention is to perform ablution. But why are you performing ablution? This is the intention we are talking about. Right? So when you intend to perform ablution, this alone will not give you what? The reward for performing ablution. Right? So you intend that I'm coming to perform ablution for the sake of Allah. Right? So this intention. Even though we said this, right? There's no way to express this except to say it. But when you are before you have that conviction, to making the intention is what? Issue of what? Of the heart. You don't say it out. But yeah, so you intend that I'm coming to what? I want to perform ablution for the sake of Allah. Or I want to pray for the sake of Allah. I'm giving this charity for the sake of Allah. So this is how you intend. So whatever you are doing, you do it to gain Allah's pleasure. Right? So this is intention. Okay. So now, intention also is what? Is the issue of what? Issue of the heart. You don't say it. You have that conviction of doing it for the sake of Allah, or to gain Allah's pleasure. But they don't say that there are some people, they can't just suffice with what is in their heart. They will still want to say it. Is there any problem with that? There's no problem. You know, some people when they say it also, it's it affirms what is in their heart. There's no problem. Yeah. Even if that's what works for you, do it. But don't say it, and then what is in the heart is contrary to that, to what you say. Okay? First have it here, and then repeat what you have in the heart. There's no problem.
I say, which one is the best?
There's no comparison. We said that what you should do is it should be done in the heart. This is the issue of the heart. Right? You intend in your heart that I'm coming to do this for the sake of Allah, or to gain Allah's pleasure. But if, let's say, you are one of those who can't suffice with what is in the heart, then you say it. Right? So now you don't ask me which one is better. The one you should do is the one in the heart.
Saying it among people or maybe to yourself.
Oh, so we'll come to that. Now we come to ar-riya. Right? We come to ar-riya. But of course, you're doing it for the sake of Allah, right? And then you can't suffice with what is in the heart. So you say it silently, right? You say it. Right? You don't announce it. We do not say it. You don't announce your intention, right? You say it to your hearing. Okay. Any question? Okay.
So, For instance, with the Bismillah, it's recommended you say it.
Yeah, Bismillah is not intention.
Yeah, maybe okay. Maybe you can say it within.
Bismillah?
Yeah, inside.
Yeah, Bismillah you can say it. Yeah. So Bismillah, where does it fall in ablution? Is it
Beginning.
No. I know it's within. But where does it fall? Is it obligatory act of ablution, recommended act of ablution, or meritorious act of ablution?
It's meritorious.
It's mustahab.
Yeah, it's further idea. Yeah. So that. So now let's look at we spoke about how to make the intention and where the intention should be, right? So there's also something called ar-riya. That is what? Showing off. So this is contrary to intention or sincerity. Okay, so what is riya? Riya is showing off to do things because of people, right? To do things because of people's praises, right? Or to gain people's pleasure. This is riya, right? And then the Prophet ﷺ cautioned us on this. In a hadith narrated by Mahmud bin Labid, he said, "Inna akhwaf ma akhafu alaykum ashirkul asghar ar-riya." You know, he said, I fear a thing that I fear most for you is what? It's a lesser shirk, ar-riya, showing off, right? So that is to do something not for the sake of Allah. You do it for the sake of people, for people to see and praise you, right? This is riya. Okay. So now, how do you protect your intention? Right, so we said that, okay, you have to do something, you should do it for the sake of Allah, right? So now this intention, how do you protect it from riya? Is the question clear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, by repurifying it.
By?
Repurify.
Yeah, by renewing it. So when you have your intention, let's say, yeah, you have an intention to perform ablution and you started performing ablution. So if you can, in the middle of what? When you get to the middle of the ablution, you renew it. And when you are close to finishing, you what? You renew it. These are ways what? To protect your intention from what? From being mixed up with what? With showing off. Is that clear? Alright. So now, how do you know whether what you are doing is solely for the sake of Allah? How would you know? This is a very difficult thing. Okay. So there are three things that you should look out for. When you find this in you, then you have to check your intention very well. Okay. The first one is when you are doing something, you don't care who praises you and who don't, right? You don't care about people's praises, right? Because you want to earn the pleasure of Allah, right? So that's it. So when you are doing something and you don't care about people's praises, then you what? Be assured that your sincerity is what? Is intact. Your intention is what? Is intact. Right? Okay, this one. So you don't care about people's praises. So immediately you start to desire people's praises for what you're doing, that you hope for a reward. Get to know that you have to check your intention. There's something wrong with it.
So I have a question on that. Maybe you've learned for the sake of Allah.
Yeah.
Maybe you're in school and you've learned for the sake of Allah. Unfortunately for you, the teacher came to the class and he asked a question. Do you learn it for the sake of Allah? And you're able to answer. He was like, hey, clap for him. And everybody started clapping for you. And you kind of felt that time like you felt to fly, butterfly in your stomach.
Yeah.
So what about that one?
Oh, that's a glad tidings. That's the next idea.
Yeah,
So
but it's-
now you what? You studied for the sake of Allah, right? No one was there. You did it for the sake of Allah. So the reward is there, right? And you came to the class. So when you came to the class, did you tell the class that, oh, I studied this, that, and that? You did not. The teacher came and then asked, right? And you answered. So if you don't answer, maybe the rest did not do what you did, right? So you were the only one who prepared, and you answered. And then they clapped for you. So this is a bushara that Allah accepted what? Allah accepted it, and the people were also what? I also accepted it. Yeah, you get it?
No, sure.
But it's a problem. Let's say to get up at night and pray. Okay, whilst everyone was asleep. And then in the morning, you come and sit among your friends and you start yawning, like kind of acting tired and all that. Then you ask, what's the problem? You say, oh, I got. They say, I prayed for 2 hours, man. No. This way. This is a problem.
Again, on that, maybe sometimes, maybe, let's take that, for instance, maybe you are in a room, maybe with Yusuf, you sleep together, and maybe you stood up, but maybe you are forcing yourself to, to let Yusuf not see you.
Yeah.
What of that one?
Yeah, that's the shit. Now you are with Yusuf in the same one, in the same room, right? And then you, at night, and then, let's say your room is what? It's one room, right? If you want to say single room, fine. So, and you want to pray. What will you do? There's nothing to do, right? You have to stand there, or you stand out and pray. But standing in the room is better, because it's only Yusuf who will see you. Maybe Yusuf is not even seeing you. He's somewhere, he's dreaming, right? But let's say that you have a very big apartment, right? So you spend the night in one room, in the bedroom, and then the living room is empty, right? So you move to the living room for him not to see you, right? If the room is big, then that's fine. But if it's not big, that's nothing. So here you keep renewing your intention to make it right. Exactly.
So,
Say, okay. No, don't worry.
can some riya be good? Like as in, you are doing something good. So you are doing something good. Let's say, like with this prayer like this, the night prayer. There's somebody sleeping beside you, and you wake up praying, and then you didn't wake the person up, but you didn't have the intention of doing it for the person to see you. So when you are in the prayer, then you realize that, okay, what if I woke him up? Then you join me pray. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Then, but you didn't do that. But in the course of the prayer, you thought about it. It just came to your mind. So you increase your voice to wake him up, so that you know that, okay. But you know that if he knows, probably he has overslept, has forgotten about something. But you know, if he hears you reciting, you're like, okay, nice prayer, let me join him and pray. Or he can wake up or something. But your initial intention was that, it's for Allah. So you are being for him.
Yeah.
But in the course of the prayer, something came to your mind and you are like, okay, let me just increase my voice so that I can wake him up.
So this is not real, right? This is not real. Even if you do that, you have reward for waking him up. And then, see, and when you wake him up to join you in prayer, you have what? Equal reward of his prayer. You have reward for waking him up to pray. You have reward for the ablution he will pray, and you have reward for the night prayer. So why miss out on this? So you increase the volume, you increase the voice to wake him up. Yes, but you are not doing it for the sake for him to what? You are doing that for him to wake up. So let's say that you are somewhere that people recite Fatiha. They don't recite Fatiha very well, right? And mashallah, Allah has blessed you with what? With good recitation, you can recite Fatiha very well. So when you go there and you are praying, you don't have to what? Pray, silent. if they are seated there, listening to you, you what? You raise your voice in recitation. With the intention to what? To teach them how to recite Fatiha. That's also good. You get it? So the Prophet used to do that, right? He will say certain azkar openly, loudly, for others to what? To hear and then learn. You understand? So if you are doing it for this cause, for this reason, then it's what? It's a form of ibadah. You also get reward for that. Because people are learning from you. You get it? But if you are doing it to show off that, okay, mashallah, you recite very well, you have Sawt al-Nana. You have Sawt al-Nana. Then this, I mean, yeah, it's showing off. Okay, so the first one is what? You don't care who praises you and who what? Who don't. And then the second one, you what? You also don't fear people's criticism. Right? So immediately you fear that people will criticize you. Then Riya will set in. Right? Because if you fear criticism, what will happen? You will do things that will please people. That will make people not to what? Not to criticize you. So you start to do things because of what? Because of them and not because of Allah. Right? So when you watch, stay away from what? Don't fear criticism. Make sure you are on the right path and then don't care about what people say. Right? Because there's nothing that you will do that people will not talk. Yeah, there's nothing. So a poet said, لو صحب الإنسان جبريل لم يسلم المرء من قال ومن قيل لقد قيل في الله أقوال مزيفة تتلى إذا رتل القرآن ترتيلا لقد قيل إن له ولد وصاحبة ذورا عليه وبختانا وتسليلا هذا قولهم في الله خالقه فكيف لو قيل فينا بعض ما قيل. He said, لو صحب الإنسان جبريل. If a person is to befriend Jibreel, that person will not be free from people's criticism. Right? So why Jibreel? Jibreel is what? Is the master of the angels. He don't commit sins, he don't make any mistake. Right? He don't make any mistake. So if you befriend him, you don't make mistake, you don't commit sin. So you'll be influenced by his conduct. So even he's telling that even if you befriend Jibreel, that will not what? That will not, you will not be free from people's criticism. So this tells you that whatever you do, people what? People criticize. Right? لم يسلم المرء من قال من قيل لقد قيل في الله أقوال مزيفة. They've said a lot about Allah. Lies about Allah. لقد قيل إن له ولد. They said that Allah has son. والعياذ بالله. لقد قيل إن له ولد وصاحبة. And he has a wife too. زورا عليه وبختانا وتزويدا. And all these was what? Fabricated lies unto Allah. فكيف لو قيل فينا بعض ما قيل. Right? They said all about Allah. So what will you lose if people say bad things about you? They said about Allah, Allah is the creator. He can do whatever he wants to do with them. But they still say it. So if they say something bad about you, what will happen? Right? So this is to tell you that there's nothing that you will do except people what? People will talk, people will criticize. So don't fear criticism. But you have to make sure that you are on the right path. What you are doing is right. You can't be living carelessly, committing sin, doing many things, and then say that you don't care about what people say. What people say. No. You understand? You make sure that you're on the right path, you're doing the right thing, and then what? Just don't care about what people say. You get it? And then understand that there's nothing that you will do except people talk. So Imam Shafi'i said, من ظن أنه يسلم من كلام الناس فهو مجنون. قالوا عن الله ثالث ثلاثة وقالوا عن رسول الله ساحر مجنون. فما بالك بمن دونه. He said, whoever thinks that he'll be free from people's criticism, then the person is mad. Right? Why? They said bad things about Allah and also about the Prophet. They said Sahirun Majnun. He's a magician and what? A mad person. They said this about Allah and this about the Prophet. You are lesser to them. So if they see things about you, what will happen? Nothing. Right? So don't fear criticism. Immediately you get that level of, you don't care about people's criticism. You what? You build a level of what your sincerity. You get it?
So please, again.
Okay, so I wanted to ask a question. It's actually in line with what our sheikhs asked, but this time is Quran.
Okay.
Maybe you are not alone, you are sleeping like you are 3 people, and they don't sleep early. Maybe they sleep very late at night. So waking up and don't become very difficult. In the evening to nafla, it becomes very difficult for them. And you actually wake up at night and you are reciting, you're doing your muraja, and it was more like you are disturbing them. Is it good?
Of course, you are simple. Yeah. This is a simple act. Now you are 3 in the room, right? And then you know that your friends don't sleep early, and then you want to do your muraja. You want to revise your Quran memory, your Quran. I mean, you don't. If you can do that silently, that's fine. And I don't know how you will revise your Quran silently, right? So you have to find go somewhere to do that, right? Because don't say that, because some people will say, after all, this is a less words, a less statement. So why should it be a problem if I raise my voice in recitation? No, brother, but the rest are sleeping. The rest are sleeping. If you don't want to sleep, don't wake them up, right? So the Prophet said, "La yajharu ba'dukum ala ba'd bil Quran." None of you should raise their voice with recitation to disturb others, right? So some people think that this is a Quran and then it's an act of worship. But if you disturb someone, you're also accumulating sin for disturbing them. Maybe the person has worked throughout the day, is tired, he wants to rest. You understand? So what we should pay attention. And then also this microphone that we use in the mosque, microphone outside, you are praying and then people everywhere. You are in Nima, people at Konka, people at Legon can hear your voice. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is very wrong. You are praying, you are leading people in the masjid prayer. They should hear your recitation. Even if you are the best reciter, that's in your area. Recite to their ear and let them hear it. Those outside has nothing to do.
But the adhan should come out.
The what?
Adhan.
Yeah, the adhan should. Immediately you are done with the adhan, use the inside microphone. Yeah, understand. Adhan should.
Say again, but that question isn't similar to what
Yusuf asked?
No, my shaykh just asked.
Which question did he ask?
He was talking
about
the reciting loud?
Yeah,
But that one is
I know, that's different.
Yeah.
This is to wake someone up to pray. And this is also different to do
maybe raising your voice maybe is disturbing him too.
No. But he said that when you raise your voice and he hear you pray, he will get up.
It's like if I'm in the room with you, and I know that I really pray with you at night.
Yeah, he knows. So this is different. And these your friends, they are different from May Allah guide them. Yeah, so like that.
Okay. So what about the one that's like similar question though? Maybe they wake up at night and okay. You as the imam, you are prolonging during Fajr time. You said the whole Surah Al-Baqarah in the first side, the second one you come to Al-Imran, like people are standing and at dawn, maybe most of them they slept very late, so they just woke up. And what about now? Is he encouraged?
No, brother, it's not right. I mean, no one will do this, especially in this part of our world.
No, I'm not Bakaro. I'm trying to give this.
So it's recommended that you prolong recitation for the prayer, but of course it should be done in moderation.
Yeah.
Right. Prolonging does not mean you should recite the entire Baqarah. Baqarah is too much, bro.
Where is that?
Right? Yeah, so you prolong, yes. Like prolonging to be moderate at least. You have to also, in moderation, you have to consider those people praying behind you. Right? Yeah, you should prolong. But if majority of the people are elderly people, you what? You don't recite long surahs. Even at least 1 page or 1.5 is enough.
Wow.
If you recite yeah, at least 1.5.
Yeah, sometimes you finish leading prayers and be do it. Like you can actually see the person doing like this. The person don't answer.
Really the most surprising when they are alone, they recite a class, Allah. But if the moment they get the mic, then they want to.
You want to show up.
They want to do exercise more.
So they are using them for Moraja. We say it's done in my area.
I think like example, if just come to let's say, I mean like if you are praying alone, you are using ikhlas and then fine, it's your own prayer. But in Jama, I just come and then imagine let's say this is Fajr, let's come and say after Fatiha and our dua and use ikhlas. I mean, it's not bad, but
So it's recommended you prolong the recitation of Fajr, right? It should be done in what?
Moderation.
In moderation. Okay.
go.
Was it true?
All right. So, So Muaz bin Jabal, what he used to do was that he will pray with the Prophet and then go and lead his people in prayer. Okay. So he once prolonged the prayer and one man got upset and then he left the role and went to pray alone. So, and then after that, he heard that Muaz was criticizing him for not completing the prayer with them. Right? And then he went and complained that to the Prophet. And then he explained to the Prophet that he worked throughout the day and he came to pray Isha. Muaz prolonged and then he went to pray alone and then he heard Muaz criticizing. And then the Prophet ﷺ called Muaz. He invited him and I said to him, Afattanun anta ya Muaz? Afattanun anta ya Muaz? And then in another narration, Fattanun. Yeah. So he said to him, and then he said to him, if any one of you lead prayer, the person should recite what short verses, and then you should pay attention to the sick and the traveler and the weak among you, right? So that it should be done in moderation, in consideration with what, with those behind you. Okay.
But what's the meaning of what the Prophet did?
Fattanun. So he said to him, Fattanun ant, oh Muaz, why are you making things difficult for people? Fattanun ant. Why are you making things difficult for people? Alright? So, and then he advised him. Alright, so it's Fattanun. Yeah, the same thing. Yeah, the same thing. So,
and just can you know, lying is not good. That's it.
okay, so can you have good intention?
No,
alright?
And reality is not good.
Yes.
So can you lie? Okay, no, wait. Okay, can you use lies to cover, like, like trying to not show a person that you do something good in secret? Like, let's say, okay, example, let's say I pray in the night, and then I'm talking with somebody, and then we're talking about night things and those things. And we came around that time that I wake up to pray. Then he asks,
what were you doing at
that time? I mean, yesterday I replied this message at that time. Of course, what am I doing at that time? What does it mean? And what should I say?
should you
okay, after
lie
my prayer, say after my dawn prayer, then I saw your message and I replied or something. Or let's say, oh, I just woke up. I just by your message. Like,
oh, I mean, you see, you with this, I mean, you don't have to lie. You don't have to lie. You can, let's say, not much. You know, something that will just take the person away from that. You know. So and then let's say you dreamt some days before that. So when the person brings that issue and you don't want to answer it, you want to move to a different thing. Then you say, oh, that even reminds me. I dreamt on so night about this and that. You know. So you find something to what? To change the topic instead of lying. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. You get it?
So okay, what if maybe yes Yusuf, you've asked him that, have I seen Yusuf? Maybe I want to cover. I said no, that means still I'm lying, right?
Yeah, you lied. Yeah, so
Say, like,
so here
he's covering me.
Why is it covering you?
He's covering me.
Why is it covering her?
maybe it could be that some kind of emergency or something, or maybe he wants to cover me.
Okay, so let's say that you committed. So let's say that you are wanted. You're wanted, right? So you're wanted, and people are looking for you, right? And then they know that this is your body, right? So they saw you, okay. Where is your body, man? Right? So here, let's say you know where it is, right? But you don't want to lie, and you don't want to also what? Show where it is. Then you say, oh, check in his house. You know it's not there. Oh, check on the park. You are not saying it's on the park or at the park. You are not saying it's at home. You just told them they should check there. Right? You've not lied.
Yes.
Right? You've not lied, and you've also what? Covered up. You get it? So such things you should know how to what?
Say, what if it's something you are requesting, like phone number, and you don't want to give the phone number, but what can you use to cover?
Brothers,
If you say,
I mean, don't let it be like I'm now teaching you how to.
okay, I think the simple question should be like, is there any instance where you can lie and slap?
Yeah.
You know that, so you know that when.
Okay, so now
that should be
all that you're asking does not fall under the circumstance that permits you to lie.
Okay.
Right? There are instances where you can lie. When, let's say, in a war or preparation to go to war, or let's say you are serving as a spy to get the secret of the opponent. If in a battlefield or in a preparation to war and something like that, war-related issue, you can lie. It's permissible, right? Because Al-Khattab, right? Battle is nothing except tricks, right? So you can lie. Yeah, it's permissible. Okay. And also, let's say that there is a dispute between Muslims or between people, and you want to reconcile between them. So here too, you can watch. You can go to one party and tell them, oh, this person's. You tell the person good things about. You say that, oh, this person has said a lot of good things about you, and all lies, and you concoct it, you fabricate it, just to make the person feel good about the person. And you also go to the person and say, well, oh, this person has said a lot about you, and all lies. It's all lies. None of them said anything of that sort, right? But you did all that what? To reconcile between them. So this is a lie, but to reconcile, because of reconciliation, it's what? It's permitted, right? This second one. And the third one is between spouse. Let's say you know your wife very well, right? That you she don't want you to be staying outside, and then of course she's right? Yeah, for husbands should not stay outside the house, especially at night. Okay, so you know that she don't like it. Okay, and then you went to watch a football match, right? And then came back late, right? And then when you know that when you come, it will be a different game altogether, right? To be a different issue. So here, to prevent that fight and then also disagreement and then also things that might happen, you can lie. It's permitted, right? But this should not be a habit of a spouse, let's say a pattern. Right, like a husband, you always come and then you lie. You know, and then also like that.
Then, with regards to that one, for instance, maybe you went somewhere and you didn't ask permission from school. Maybe you went somewhere before the resuming of the school, and it will be very dismal when you come back and they realize that you haven't been able to present yourself since the beginning. It could be a problem, it could be under suspension or punishment. With that one, is it permissible to concoct a lie? Like, for instance, you go to the hospital and you create something, this kind of damning information, medical reports, that shows that you've been admitted for some time. Is it good or not?
Okay, so the question I will also ask you is, this question, does it fall under the three circumstances that we mentioned? So what is the answer?
Check last before. The Prophet was asked that if a mu'min can forgive and after lie, that lie, does it falls under
the three circumstances that you mentioned? No, it doesn't.
For him, no matter what, the moment.
Yeah, so the Prophet was asked, can a mu'min commit zina? He said, yeah, a mu'min can commit zina. Because he's human, he's weak, and then he has also a desire, right? And then also, can mu'min also steal? He said, yeah, a mu'min can steal because he has needs, right? But can mu'min lie? He said, a mu'min lie. A mu'min, a believer don't lie, right? So that's it, a believer don't lie. But that doesn't mean, so these three circumstances, there's permissibility in it. You can you are allowed to lie in these three circumstances, right? And not in all circumstances. Because there's also hadith that prohibits lies completely, and also even caution us to stay away from lying. The hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, the Prophet said, "Iyakum al-kadhib, fa inna al-kadhiba yahdi ila al-fujur, wa inna al-fujura yahdi ila an-nar, wa ma yazalu ar-rajulu yakdhib wa yataharra al-kadhiba hatta yuktaba inda Allahi kadhaba." Stay away from From lies, because lies leads to evilness, and evilness leads to leads to hellfire, right? And the person will keep lying until it's written in the sight of Allah that is a lie.
So for that three circumstances, is the woman given that same chance, or for him?
Yeah, of course. They still fall under that. So it is permissible. It is permitted to lie in this circumstance.
Say, please mention them again.
What?
The circumstances.
I said that war-related issues, right? War-related issue, because war is is strict, right? And then also, secondly, reconciliation between two people, right? And also the third one is covering up between spouse, right? Like, so you know your wife, and your wife also know you. She knows that when she says something, it might hurt you, and it also might cause the divorce. So here she is permitted to lie, right?
So it means jokes are also you can be sinful for giving it.
Yeah. So jokes. So now see, brothers, I mentioned three circumstances, right? So anything, any other thing, you ask yourself, does this thing fall under this three? If it does not, then it's not part of it. So jokes, it's haram. Especially jokes. It's not all jokes that is haram. Okay, there are some jokes that is permitted. The jokes that there's no lies, and then
There's no truth.
There's no
Truth to.
No. Let's say there's something that happened in a real life. Okay, that you are narrating, and it's funny. This is a very good joke, right? It's a very good joke. Or something you just create something to make people laugh, but it's not lie. It's not lie. So there's a hadith that says that وَيْلٌ لِلَّذِي يُحَدِّثُ فَيَكْذِبْ لِيُضْحِكَ بِهِ الْقَوْمُ وَيْلٌ لَهُ وَيْلٌ لَهُ. Woe to the person who talks with people and then lie to make people laugh. Woe unto him, woe unto him. Meaning, curse be unto him, curse be unto him. Right? So the Prophet has cursed the person what? Who out of jokes, he what? He lied. You understand? So here, you don't what? You don't joke, you don't lie. Right? And then once Abu Huraira said to the Prophet, إِنَّكَ لَتُدَعِبُنَا. Oh Prophet, you crack a lot of jokes with us. And the Prophet said, إِنِّي لَا أَقُولُ إِلَّا حَقًّا. Yeah, even though I crack jokes, I make you laugh, but I don't see anything except the truth. You understand? So like that. Okay.
If you hear someone know that this is a lie, is that still a lie?
Come again?
If I let you know what I'm telling you is a lie, is it still a lie? Like
you lie.
Yes, it's between you. I want to crack a joke, right? And it's between you and I. And I'm just, this joke is a lie. This is not real lie. I'm just putting things together to make you laugh. You know now it's a lie. Like it has never happened before. I'm just telling you right now. So it is also considered as a lie.
So okay, now another question. Does that refute the fact that you've not said it? Huh? It does not, right? So you still lie. It's a lie. I understand.
Say lies cannot. Maybe you're not supposed to lie even in circumstances that things can destroy your life. They don't fall in these three circumstances. Maybe that thing could destroy your whole life. As in, it could be sacked from your job. It could destroy maybe something in your life, something very important.
Yeah. So in this case, I don't want to permit what is haram. So I mean, what I will tell you is try to do the right thing all the time. Try to do the right thing all the time. Alright? Okay. So now, we mentioned all this. So we mentioned that there are certain things that, in order to things to do to what? To protect your intention from what? From riya. No. We mentioned two things. Don't be a person who desires praises, right? No. And also don't be a person who fears criticism. And also don't be a greedy person. Because when you are greedy and you are needy of people's possession, what happens? You have to do things to please them in order to get what they have. So this also causes what? It causes riya. You get it? It also what? It causes riya. So these are the three things. So intention also, it's meant to differentiate between two things. Between our routine and then ibadat. Okay, there are certain things that we do always. That are what? That are they are our routine. We always do them. It's not an act of worship. And there are things similar things that we do, but it's what? It's similar things, but this can be an act of worship, and this also what? This will not be considered an act of worship. So what will differentiate between these two? The intention, right? So let's say that you enter the mosque, right? You finish praying at the mosque, and then you want to relax in the mosque, right? So there are two people. One of them just relaxed without any intention, and the other said, no, I want to remain in the mosque for the sake of Allah, make zikr, and then also protect my what? Which will also help me to lower my gaze, because when I'm in the mosque, I will not see what haram things. So here the person has what? Intended for three things. He will be rewarded for it. And then as far as the person is in the mosque and has a valid ablution, the person is also will be considered as if he is praying. So you will be rewarded for that. And that person who just relaxed in the mosque was just relaxed. Maybe you are also relaxed. The person is also relaxed. But you will be rewarded and the person will not be rewarded. Why? Because of what? Because of intention. So it's the same thing, but this is rewarded and this is what? So intention, what? It differentiates between what is an act of worship and what is a routine. You understand? And it's also differentiate between the types of ibadat that we are doing. Intention, niyyah also what? Differentiate the types of ibadat that we are doing. Now, how many rakat is Sunnat al-Fajr. 2 rakats, right? Are you sure? Okay. Fajr prayer, how many rakat? 2. Right? Okay, 2. Sunnat al-Fajr, 2 rakat. Fajr prayer, 2 rakat. Okay. So now, what would differentiate? Let's say this is praying 2 rakat, this also praying 2 rakat. Let's say, no. You are praying, you started praying Sunnat al-Fajr, and then you prayed Fajr itself. Right? So what would differentiate between the 2 rakat? The niyyah. Because this you intend that it's what? Sunnat al-Fajr, and then this will also what? This will be Fajr prayer. So what differentiates the 2 is what? The intention. Right? Is what is the intention. And then, okay.
What happens if you just pray without knowing that this is Sunnat al-Fajr? Yes, and maybe Rakatain al-Fajr, or maybe the rakah we do for Fajr itself.
How come you don't know?
Maybe you know they do it, but you don't know that this is the name or something, so you just wake up and you do it.
It doesn't change. As far as you did it for the sake of Allah, you get your reward. Yeah. But how come you don't know this? You have to know. You have to ask if you don't. Yeah. So, and also, we have to understand that intention is very important. Intention sometimes is better than even what our actions. Yeah. Because when you intend good and then you are not able to do it, you'll be rewarded as if you've done it. So scholars recommend that you always have good intention. Like you say, okay, I wish I had X amount of money to give in charity. I wish I could do this. I wish I could recite the entire Quran in 7 days. So all these wishes that you have, you are to try, if you can do some, you get the reward of all these wishes. Why? Because of what? Because of your intention. You understand? So you keep what you keep intending. But let me also say this. This should not encourage laziness. Right? Because when you tell people this, then the person will be wishing, I wish this. You can do it. You get it? Yeah. So a person who gets a reward of his or her action without doing it is a person who can't do it. Let's say because of a situation beyond the person's control. Then the person was not able to do it. Then he or she will get reward for what? For that intention. But if you can do it, you intend it, and you can do it, and the situation permits you to do it, and if you fail to do it, brother, you have no reward for your intention. This is laziness.
Yeah.
This is not what I'm saying. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So let's say, example before your question. You intend to wake up at night, right? And you were not able to wake up, right? You woke up after the azan of Fajr. So you were not able to wake up. Why? Because you were overwhelmed with what? By sleep, right? So here you'll be rewarded for what? For your intention. But let's say also another person intended to wake up at night, and then he or she actually woke up at night, but did not pray. The person was just lying down like that. It's a Fajr prayer. With the notion that the person will get the intention, even if he did not do it, you can't get it. You get it? So we have to differentiate between the two scenarios. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have 2 questions.
Okay.
The first one is maybe you intended
Start
to
with the
fast.
easiest one.
Okay. The easiest one. For instance, you are making wishes. I wish to do this. I wish to do this. And maybe can you wish that you wish to complete the whole Quran every 1 hour, so that you get the reward for that? And maybe, for instance, you're unable to do, will you be rewarded for that? For someone who will complete the whole Quran within 1 hour, so every hour you'll be rewarded.
I mean, sometimes certain things
we cannot do.
You have to be realistic. You have to be realistic in your intention.
Okay.
So like 7 days will be fine, 5 days will be fine, but 1 hour, brother. Where are you starting? Where are you completing?
So by head, it's possible you can complete the whole Quran within 1 day.
1 day.
One
Yeah,
day
it's possible.
Mm.
It's possible, but you will not understand it. You are not understand. Yes. Yeah, because the Prophet said the person who recites the Quran in 3 days, the person won't understand it.
Mm.
Yeah. The person who recite it in 1 day, the person who recite it in 2 days, the person who recite it in 3 days will not understand the Quran. So the maximum you can, the minimum is what, 7 days.
7 days.
Yes, 7 days. Yeah. But if you can do it in 3 days too, with reflection on the verses, it's also not bad. But the best will be to go according to the Sunnah. Yeah. Is that clear? Okay.
So the second question is, you intended to fast, and unfortunately, you were not able to wake up around the time. So does that mean you'll be rewarded for the fast?
Yeah, you'll be rewarded for the fast. If you can continue to fast without eating, that will be fine. But if you can't, don't stress yourself. Fill the stomach and then you will be rewarded for it.
So when you continue, you get another additional reward for continuing.
No, you don't get it. You get reward business. Yes.
You use this.
Intention useless.
Yeah, when it comes to this, you have to be capitalist.
Yeah,
when it comes to reward, you have to, find a way to accumulate more reward. Let's say there's a zikr.
Investment.
There's a zikr, right? You know that when you do this zikr, you have more reward than this, right? So you invest more on this, right?
Investment.
Is that clear?
No.
Any question? Okay.
I have a lot of questions, but also
No problem. So let's pause here and then continue in our next meeting, inshallah. So we'll continue with the next lesson.